I'm thinking, look, we're two fancy boys, right? We've dressed up.
Fancy boys.
We're looking the best we've ever looked on the podcast, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's reason enough to celebrate. We don't need to celebrate 27 weeks not in a row, I should say. We didn't do 27 weeks in a row. But we should, it doesn't matter if it's been 27 episodes or the Olympics or anything. We're just celebrating being some two handsome boys. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Two handsome boys just talking about films.
Yes, talking about some films. Why are we dressed so fancy today, Lucas?
Because the movie that we are talking about today is called The House of Gucci.
The House of Gucci. Or as we were referring to it last week in the pod, House of the Gooch.
House of the Gooch, yes.
I think that represents the film much better than House of Gucci.
That is true.
Yeah. But yeah, we're a podcast now, just a little movie podcast. And I'm your host, Lachlan Rodwell, joined by the greatest method actor of all time, Lucas Boreham.
Yeah, Lucas Gaga.
Lucas Gaga.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna go with Lucas Leto or Jared Boreham.
That's true. That'd probably work better.
Yeah.
Or Lucas Driver. Or no, that actually doesn't. That doesn't fit.
Lucas Driver. It just sounds like you're my valet.
Yeah, Lucas Driver.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to be talking about House of the Gooch today. House of Gucci, starring Jared Leto. I mean, he's not the main character, but Jared Leto, everyone's favorite actor, Jared Leto, and also starring Adam Driver, Lady Gaga, Jeremy Irons, Al Pacino, star-studded cast.
Yeah, Selma Hayek. I'm pretty sure she's in there.
Yeah, she is, and directed by Ridley Scott, acclaimed director.
None other than Ridley Scott. Yeah. So it turned out to be a very interesting movie. Should we? But I mean, we should.
Right. Well, before we get into the movie, we've got some news. We got some amazing film news this week.
I almost forgot. I was like, is there a segment we do before the movie? I was just like, it's skip my mind.
And look, it's been a slow news week, and I just can't wait for the cracker of a news story I've got for you today. So
I'm excited.
We all know Sony Pictures, right?
Yeah.
They make movies, namely Spider-Man movies.
Mainly bad movies.
Yes. And they want to make a Spider-Man universe, right? We got the Venoms. We got the Morbius, also starring Jared Leto, everyone's favorite actor.
Yeah.
And this week there was some news about the next Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man. Do you want to know what it is?
Spider-Woman?
Well, that might be coming.
Yeah.
But no.
Okay.
Right. That's too conventional. You're thinking too conventional.
Yeah, true.
You got to think, this is Sony we're talking about. They're making a movie about Morbius, the living vampire.
That's true.
Right? They've got a movie about Kraven the Hunter coming up. So think, what is just a character you've never heard of?
What is a spider's worst nightmare?
Or what does a spider do?
It fucking scares the shit out of me.
Okay.
It's scared of water. Is it a water-based? Yeah.
This isn't a cat.
Have you poured water on a spider and just seen it fucking...
I didn't know you're a psychopath. Okay.
That's why I'm on this show.
Oh, gee. True, actually. That's the only reason you'd ever say yes to this. Yeah. No, so a spider makes a web. That's a hint.
Charles Webb.
Yes. No, so there's a character. Okay. So firstly, the news is Dakota Johnson, right, who most recognizable from 50 Shades of Grey, is starring in this movie as the titular character. And the movie is called Madam Web. Do you have any questions? Just off the bat, any questions?
What the fuck is Madam Web?
I'm glad you asked, Lucas, because I think the audience listening would also be asking that question, as would anyone who has heard this news.
Yeah.
Madam Web is a woman. She's an old woman. She's a very old woman. She's crippled by something I can't remember, and her legs don't work.
Shit! This is shaping up to be the best fucking investment for Sony.
I know, it's a great superhero movie you got here. No, she's not in a wheelchair, but she's in a chair, and it's like she's got like a dress on that like makes it look like she's got one really long tentacle leg instead of two normal legs. Anyway, and she's a cripple in this wheelchair, and she's attached to like this giant web or whatever. Anyway, her powers are that she's like, I don't know, a psychic or telekinetic or whatever the fuck. She's got all these powers. The point is, she's like the heart, or she's the web. No, wait. She's the fucking heart. She's the middle of the spider web that is the Spider-Verse. So it's like she's connecting all of the spider people throughout the multiverse together. And she's like, it gets into this really whack territory where it's like, you know, all these spider people were destined to become Spider-Man, and like she's like woven this web that connects the spider people. So what are your thoughts?
Okay, first of all, I kind of understand. Sony's like, look, we want to be a part of this multiverse. We want to be a part of Marvel. We want to be a part of the Spider-Verse or whatever the fuck. So they're like, in their little heads, they're like, all right, we need to go back to the source. We need to create the source. So then, like, we can just own it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
That's my thinking of Sony. Yeah. They're like, we're just making a movie on how all this shit happened, like, for no reason. It's kind of like a little bit like Eternals, but it makes more sense in like a Sony standpoint of like, oh, you know, we still, like, we want to own it, if that makes sense.
That is if they go in the direction of it being a Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah.
Now, there are other versions of Madam Web in the comics that aren't like that, but the most well-known one is the one who's controls this kind of Spider-Verse nonsense. And it's just, it seems weird that Sony has Miles Morales Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Woman, a bunch of other Spider people.
Awesome Spider people, by the way.
That they could, and they have made movies on, right? You could do Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Man 2049.
Spider-Gwen, like, come on. Please.
Right? So
Sony.
All of these characters have shown up in the animated Spider-Verse movie, right? So it's like they've got these characters that would make fantastic movies, and they could set up all these different universes of Spider people and then build towards an Avengers type movie where they all come together, right? They could do that, but instead they've made Venom, Morbius, they're going to make Kraven, and now this weird Spider-Verse movie potentially with this old woman. So it just doesn't seem like they've got any idea of what the fuck they're doing when it's really obvious. Like, it's so obvious what they should do. Like, if you've seen the success of, like, Into the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man No Way Home, it's very clear what the fuck they should do.
It's very clear. I mean, it's now kind of made quite clear, you know, all the Avengers films, Spider-Man No Way Home.
And that's the other thing is, like, they've got such a clear template to follow here, where it's like solo movies build to a team movie, not just fucking these random characters. Like, in what world is Morbius going to build towards a bigger movie? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I don't care if I see Morbius and Venom in some sort of team together.
Yeah, I wouldn't even pay to watch that.
It's
okay, cool, you know. But yeah, I just don't understand. They're all business people. They're all like, oh, we gotta make something for the investors. Let's make a bunch of movies and put the characters in it. But they don't actually understand what characters should be.
I don't know why they're going for such obscure characters. Yeah. That's what it doesn't make any sense to me.
They're just fucking, there's just a big bucket, a big bin full of all these characters, and they're really just scraping the fucking bottom of it.
The thing that doesn't make sense about scraping the bottom of the barrel, right, is you've got a fucking other barrel filled with goodness.
I know. So wait, they're scraping past all the good stuff at the start, at the top of the barrel. They're really just digging real deep into the bottom of it, you know.
I've got a great Australian reference.
All the shit is at the bottom, obviously.
It's like if, you know how Vegemite came from beer barrels?
Did it?
Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, because
I didn't.
The yeast and so it'd be like if you were brewing beer, and instead of getting the beer. You just fucking was scraping Vegemite off the bottom.
And someone was like, let's sell this.
Yeah.
This shit is fucking... Imagine scraping Vegemite, or they didn't know it was fucking Vegemite, off the bottom of a beer barrel and be like, I wonder who's going to have this, you know? Like, do you reckon it'd taste good? Like, you have to probably pay some, like, poor guy to have a bite of it.
Yeah, force them to have it.
Look, it's really bad, but if you like get a tiny bit and put it on some toast with butter, then that's good. Like,
which I think that sums up these new Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man. Is that if your intention is to go to a theater and have like a fun time in an event, it's not going to be that, right?
It's not going to be that.
But if you pirate it with a couple of mates and have some beers and popcorn, then it's all right. And half the time you're on your phone, then it's going to be quite enjoyable.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the hammer there.
Well, I'm just describing exactly how I watched Venom Let There Be Carnage, really. So, but yes, that's true. Sony doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. I think that sums everything up.
That sums everything.
It was a slow news week.
They should keep to just making PlayStations and buying out.
It was funny. I think there's a news story from a while ago that Spider-Man No Way Home saved the losses that Sony was making on the PlayStations. I don't know if that adds up, but I think I read something like that. I could be just making shit up.
Because I know Microsoft and Sony are having losses on the new Xbox and the new PlayStation. However, Microsoft is making it all back with the Game Pass. Sony is making it back
with their premium exclusives.
With their Spider-Man game, God of War.
Deathloop was pretty good. I loved Deathloop.
Yeah, okay.
When Deathloop comes out on Xbox, you have to play it because it's incredible. But yes, that was the news this week. So now we got to talk about House of the Gooch.
Yeah.
I want to hear your opinion first.
Okay. So I watched, because I was going to see this movie with my girlfriend. She wanted to watch it because she thought it was fashionable. I don't know what I was thinking. Like when I was going in, I didn't really have an expectation. But the vibe that it kind of portrayed was definitely like the vibe of, you know, Casino with Robert De Niro, or I'm trying to remember that like classic
like
gangster film.
That kind of like prestige kind of cinema where it looks very clean and crisp.
Yes. It's just about like the not the raws, but like the gangsters in the 80s and 90s or 70s, 80s, 90s, like, you know, in America, or just, you know, people doing what they used to do back in the day. And I mean, it did portray it well, but I kind of underestimated how amazing this like relationship that they showed, like kind of just surprised me, honestly, like seeing Lady Gaga on screen. And just, I didn't even realize it was Lady Gaga, first of all, like, because she played that character so well. I was like, geez, I thought she was an Italian, you know, actress or something. Like,
well,
it was just...
Her parents are Italian.
Oh, okay. Well, here we are.
I also saw this with my girlfriend, and she told me that early on, was that Lady Gaga is Italian. And I was like, that explains why she's doing the best job out of anyone.
Yeah.
Because look, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because the story they're telling, it's an historical event, is a very interesting story.
Yes.
And the way they portray the relationship between Adam Driver and Lady Gaga, they rush through the love story, but that's because it's not about the love story. Like that, it's just like you got to show them falling in love. But then it's about like the way that really Lady Gaga is, you know, trying to be both a manipulator but a savvy businesswoman, and like how that affects Adam Driver's character, who's like trying to run Gucci, right? And you know, I liked the dynamic of their relationship, but again, it's coming from a real event.
Exactly.
Right? So I thought that the story itself is a good story, but that's not because of Ridley Scott. That's because it's an historical event that's interesting.
I agree, but even still, with these gangster movies like Casino, the plot kind of thickens and then, shit starts getting really hectic. Because the movie kind of starts off and they they're just working to get to the top. They get to the top and then the top gets shaky. They get greedy. Shit starts happening and then everything fucking explodes. And all this action happens and it's, freaky and a great watch. Whereas this was they were getting to where they wanted to or just, adopting, the family business and they kind of got to the top, I guess. But that was really it. I mean, there wasn't that big punchline of and then shit starts going haywire. It's kind of just
yeah. Well, I think that's because again, spoilers, but I mean, it's based on a true story, so you should already kind of know.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know a lot about it.
Yeah.
Going into it, so it kind of helped. But so it's the movie should be building towards the assassination.
Yes.
But the assassination itself is the most interesting part of this story. Yet it rushes it right towards the end.
And it makes it feel like a kind of not a joke necessarily, but kind of a side story almost. Because so Lady Gaga's character has this relationship with Selma Hayek's character, who is this woman on TV who answers your questions and stuff, and she has this relationship with this Selma Hayek's character throughout her life, and then all of a sudden she's like, I want to kill my husband, and she's like, yeah, okay, I'll show you these two guys, and they'll go and kill him. And I was just like, okay.
Which I was defending when I was talking about this with my girlfriend. I was defending it because I think Ridley Scott's intention was that since you've seen her be this savvy businesswoman and a manipulator to Adam Driver and try to get everything she wants. Yeah. Right. It kind of then that's the motivation. That's all the motivation you need to understand that she's killing her husband so that she gets all the money and wealth from it. Right.
Yeah.
With no idea that she's going to get caught, which is so abundantly clear and that's such a high profile assassination like this.
It's very hilarious. How
yeah. There you
go. That's that. I guess the film did, kind of she literally just went to these two guys and then they shot him, and then 2 years later,
it's 5 minutes at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
which it's I don't know. The movie is juggling all of these different stories that I don't think it needs to be juggling. Right?
That's true.
It's trying to do well. It tells the love story without telling the love story. It's trying to focus on their relationship and how toxic it is because of the business. It's trying to be it's trying to tell the story of a family business. It's trying to tell the success of Tom Ford in recreating this family business and the downfall of the original family owners of the business. And then it's the assassination of Gucci, and then it's all of these things at once, and it's not doing, I think it's just not doing any one of them well. It's trying to do all of them, but it's
true.
Dropping the ball because it's just too much shit going on and not this hyper focus on any one thing. Even the relationship with the dad is a segment of the story, but then it's dropped. And then the relationship between the cousin is a little bit of the story, and then it's dropped. And it's balancing it's trying to balance all these things, and it's just not doing a good job, in my opinion.
I agree, because Ridley Scott's going off history, so he's like, I gotta have this because this actually happened, gotta have this because this actually happened. And that's difficult for a director to do when you're trying to actually make a good movie, because there's half of his mind where he's like, I have to put all this shit in, as do we were talking about June or Dune? Fuck
June.
It. How the first one they kind of had to put some things in there because it was in the book.
Because they built, yeah,
because it's just what makes the movie, and it's kind of the same here, but it was a little bit more difficult because I guess all the parts.
Well, it's just like
leading up.
I think they could have just cut things out and like it's like if you it's you know since it's not a limited shut up since it's not a limited series, you know, you don't have the time to do everything. So then you got to be selective, and it's like if you're going to make a movie about, you know, the success of the business in the 90s, then do that. Or if you're going to make a movie about the assassination, then do that. Don't try to do everything. That's what I would say.
Exactly. I 100% agree. Because it was a long movie.
It's fucking long.
Like, I went to the cinemas at like 6 and got out at 10. Yeah. And I was like, the fuck? Like,
it's a long fucking movie.
It was a really long movie. But I mean, did you find yourself getting bored like in it? I was not too bad, honestly.
I was. There was a lot of times I was getting bored because I was losing interest with like certain threads of the story. Like I was most interested by the way that Lady Gaga was manipulating all the characters. But then when she gets divorced, I fucking turned off. I stopped caring.
I'm honestly exactly the same. When she got ejected out of the fucking movie or the story,
she literally gets yeeted out of the movie.
She literally like James Bond ejector seated out of the fucking movie,
and she was by far the best part of the movie, in my opinion.
Exactly, and I mean, again, Ridley Scott obviously had to do that because that's part of the story. But again, I felt like it could have been great because it kind of just cut from my husband's divorcing me, I'm going to cry on the street, to I'm going to kill the son of a bitch.
I'm going to fucking kill him.
I'm going to
get money
in a fucking in his head or something like that. But yeah, it was just, I wish Ridley focused more on Lady Gaga's character.
Yeah.
Because like, yes, she apparently improvised most of her lines. Like she was just
You know who else probably improvised all of their lines? Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to start this discussion with.
Okay, let's talk about Jared.
Well, before we get to Jared Leto, I just want to talk shit about the entire cast, apart from Al Pacino and Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
The Italian accents are consistently inconsistent. Right? They are all over the fucking place. Not only like with the same person, but between people. Yeah. First, Jeremy Irons, right? Mm-hmm. He's British, right? Yeah. And then Jared Leto and Adam Driver are American, of course. But Jeremy Irons' British accent is like he literally forgets to do an Italian accent half the time, and he's just British.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
And also his character, he's the father. He slowly gets more and more sick, and I found the sicker he got, the less Italian he was, and the more British he just was. And it was like the scene he had with Jared Leto, like right before he dies, he was just straight British. And I was like, he's not even trying to do an Italian accent. Adam Driver is trying to do the best job he can. And it's like, okay, I'll accept it. He's trying, but he's not trying too hard. It's not great compared to Al Pacino's and Lady Gaga's, but he's an American in this big blockbuster, kind of Ridley Scott movie. It's not supposed to be authentically Italian, right? It's supposed to go through the motions of the story, right? And he's doing an okay job. But then, oh, mamma mia.
Mamma mia.
Mamma mia. You then have Jared Leto.
A Gucci.
And he's like fucking so full on. And he's like, oh, you're shitting my dick here. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
But of course he had, if he was going to go Italian, he had to. In his mind,
he's a method actor. You know what Jared Leto did to prepare for the role? He had 40 pizzas in 30 days. That's where we're coming from, all right?
He did a Papa John's. He did a Papa John's. Wait, no, he didn't even get Italian pizzas. He got Domino's and fucking pizza. Yeah, and he's he doesn't even know what spaghetti is as well.
And you know how there's that outrage at Chris Pratt playing Mario? I think we found his replacement. It's Jared Leto. He literally was Mario. He just straight up was Mario, but bald.
Here we go. Like, but to be honest, he was funny when he was on screen.
He was so funny.
I enjoyed him.
The whole cinema I was in, anytime he was on screen, was just laughing their heads off.
Yeah.
Which, the thing that I to this day, I don't know, is Jared Leto a good actor or not? Right? Because he's playing a character that is an imbecile that you're supposed to laugh at, and I'm fucking laughing at him.
Exactly.
So is he self-aware and this is entirely intentional and he's nailing it? Or is he just the worst actor ever and he's going over the top and it's dog shit? I don't know.
I agree with you because, like, yeah, I feel like they did the scene, like, and Ridley was like, and he looked back at everyone filming and they were like, yeah, it was fun.
We got the shot.
And Jared was like, I did that one really seriously. And Ridley's like, yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, you did. How about we turn it down a little? It's like, how dare you?
Yeah.
That was perfect.
I portrayed the character.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, because he doesn't break character.
Yeah.
So he's like, Ridley Scott, you're breaking my balls here.
Well, he actually wore that costume around Italy to, like, not attract attention, which was fucking, that'd be hilarious, honestly.
Apparently, he went to, like, Al Pacino was like, oh, Papa! And Al Pacino's like, what the fuck? At the wait, who the fuck are you? And it, like, has this real violent reaction because he didn't know it was Jared Leto.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. But
so, yes. So, Jared Leto's performance is ridiculously over the top.
Yeah.
In my opinion, anytime he was on screen, it was by far my favorite part of the movie. I was just laughing my head off. And I'm going to go on the side of it wasn't intentional and he's not a good actor. That's what I'm going to go on the side of.
Fair enough. I mean, I can see that. I can, like, because there was this, like, kind of side of you that felt sorry for him, but you're also like, it's hilarious. Like, you kind of want him to fail because then he's just even funnier. And then when he sells the shares of Gucci and Al Pacino's character's just, like, fucking... it was kind of sad, but I was just like, of course.
But see, Al Pacino's doing all the work there to make it sad.
Yeah,
you know?
True. That is true.
Al Pacino's great in this movie. He's great in everything he's fucking in. But like, he's great in this movie.
He's fucking so good, and like when he was on screen, you felt the seriousness and the like just how fucked the situation was.
Like how it's a family business where everyone's backstabbing each other. And, and it's like how like people are manipulating each other, but then are actually being manipulated. And it's like this, he was really good at like, when it's all said and done, him like after he's out of prison, like realizing like how he's been played and how everyone's been played. Like, he was really good at portraying that. So he was really interesting to watch as well. And I think him and Lady Gaga were what saved the movie for me. Like, again, Adam Driver was fine. I just don't think it was anything special. You know, he was such a bland, boring man.
Yeah, but I feel like that's what the script portrayed him to be. Is that like because again, like the whole when their like kind of relationship started, he was just this fucking weirdo.
Well, he's a lawyer, right? Like, he's trained to be a lawyer, so he's supposed to be boring, but he's got to be fun to watch at the same time, you know?
Exactly, that is true, yeah. Like, if you're going to be a stereotype, an Italian fucking lawyer, you got to stick to it, and you got to, like, really overplay it. I think that's what they got to do in the future. But, yeah, as a whole, like, I probably wouldn't watch it again, honestly.
I agree with that. I would not watch it again. The thing that, like, I just don't get is that it's a movie about like designers, right? And this big fashion brand. It should be really flashy and stylized.
I know.
But it's very clean and like more clinical in a way. Like it doesn't it doesn't have that oomph that I think a movie like this should have.
Exactly. Like even when they brought on that like fashion designer and like it was just guys with like sports jackets and nothing underneath. I was like, wow, this is so ahead of its time, guys. Like,
you gotta remember, this was the 90s. They were all homophobic in the 90s, right?
I know.
This was oh.
They didn't even use any, like, Gucci for the actual movie. It was all just, like,
fake shit.
Prop costumes? I don't know.
That was the other thing. There's the plot point around fakes, and then it was dropped within 5 minutes.
Yeah, holy hell.
Things just come up and then are tossed away. It's just all over the place, really.
Ridley Scott's just like, oh, this happened, so I have to put it in the movie. Oh, this happened, to put it in the movie. Like, it's kind of just all over the plot. All over the fucking shop.
It's all over the joint, man. It's
all over the Gucci establishment.
And as we were walking out of the theater, the thing my girlfriend said to me was Ridley Scott was the wrong director for this kind of movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, I agree. He made a movie with because the thing with Ridley Scott is I don't think he knows what an audience wants.
That's true.
That
is true.
Cause, okay, I do quickly just want to have a bit of a rant around
all right, here we
Ridley
go.
Scott.
Entering rant of Ridley Scott. 3, 2, 1.
Okay. So, firstly, Alien.
Yeah.
Great horror movie, but, right, Aliens, directed by James Cameron, is better and is more defining for that franchise, right? So then you have him come back and do Prometheus and Alien Covenant, and they're both shit, right? And it's this big thing where it's like, oh, we've got the original director back. But it's like, no, Ridley Scott wasn't the one that really, like, yes, he made the first one, but I don't think he was the one that really made Alien what it was. Yeah. It was Aliens, directed by James Cameron. So if you were to tell me, oh, James Cameron's coming back to do an Alien movie, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm fucking 100% in.
Yes, exactly.
Right? So then, of course, Blade Runner, right? Great movie. Yeah. That exists in its own thing. And then you have all of his other movies, blah, 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 blah. Gladiator, I haven't seen. Have you seen Gladiator?
What the fuck did you just say?
I just honestly couldn't be fucked. Like, it's just...
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Lachlan Rodwell.
I know you're watching a film podcast and you're probably upset at me, but firstly, I know Russell Crowe.
It's a classic. It is so good. Watch it tonight, please. It is such a good film.
I get that. I get that. There's been no part of me that's ever wanted to watch it. Just
watch it. Just do it.
It's just...
Is that too hard?
I don't know.
Just turn your TV on and watch it.
I think it's Russell Crowe. I honestly think it's... I just don't... apart from The Nice Guys, there hasn't been a Russell Crowe movie that I've enjoyed to watch.
Well, then you haven't seen Gladiator.
Well, you're right. I haven't.
You clearly haven't seen it.
But anyway, I'm moving on. I haven't seen it. Fuck me, all right? You get all these movies and then... I've seen Robin Hood. Fuck, Robin Hood sucks. That movie fucking sucks. The one with Russell Crowe.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yes.
Well, I liked it, but fuck you, I guess.
Would you ever watch it again? Exactly my point. So he's just got all of this, all of the movies he's made. Prometheus. You then have Exodus, Gods and Kings.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, what the fuck was that? Christian,
but these movies are just all over the place, right? And a lot of them are, I'm searching on IMDb right now, the average is around a 50, in terms of how, audience reviews and that, and critic response, it's around a 50, right? And then you have, The Martian is quite good. I'll give him The Martian.
Yeah, The Martian is good.
But then Alien Covenant's awful. All the Money in the World came out, and I don't know if I haven't seen it.
What's that?
Last Duel came out this year. I haven't seen. It's just, to me, out of the auteur directors that we kind of have, Ridley Scott is one of the ones that's just doesn't know what people want to see. And a lot of the movies were oh, I haven't really heard of that or whatever. It's because they don't ever become big hits the same way that every Christopher Nolan movie, or even Michael Bay, who his batting average isn't good. You kind of know all of his movies because you know what I mean?
You can define a Michael Bay film. You can define a Michael Bay film.
Whereas Ridley Scott movies are kind of all over the place. It's I could see Robin Hood, Gladiator, and Exodus all being directed by the same person, but then to think that this person also did Blade Runner and Alien, Like, it's just like I don't know what he's good at. Because to me, it seems like anytime he's good at something, it's a fluke.
Yes, I agree. Just almost like Jared Leto's career. Jared Leto? I'm going to call him that now.
Jared Leto. Instead of Jared Leto. I actually don't know how you say it. But so all that's to say is that Ridley Scott, I've as someone who likes film and, you know, you get attached to certain directors.
Oh, yeah.
He's one that I just don't care about. You know, like he's this big name director.
But he's not real. Like, yes, he's a big name. I mean, Ridley Scott, like, you hear that, you're like, oh, yeah, he directed Alien. Yeah. But that's it. You're just like, I wouldn't actually want to, like, when, Ridley Scott's directing House of Gucci, I was like, cool.
But it really doesn't seem like the kind of movie he would direct. Well,
that's true. Yeah, I was also like, okay, I would have expected probably a director that I've never heard of to direct this movie. But then I was also thinking about how much shit's in this film. And I was like, you know, like, the template this film probably could have followed better. It probably could have been done even better as a TV show.
That's what I was saying with my limited series comment. Right?
Yes, 100%.
The lines between TV and film get more and more blurred as streaming services get bigger and bigger. Yeah. And, like, these movies aren't performing well at the box office and no one's watching them.
Yeah.
So if you're going to make something like this, it is almost better as a TV series.
Exactly.
Ben Affleck had a really interesting quote because he was in another Ridley Scott movie that came out this year that flopped, which was The Last Duel. Came out only... Yeah. Sorry, not when I say this year, I mean 2021. Yeah. And he was saying that his best picture, right, Argo, wouldn't be made as a film today. It would be a limited series. And that movies like that aren't going to exist. It's going to be limited series for those. And then movies in cinemas are just going to be these big tentpole blockbuster event movies.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a better template. And again, especially in the House of Gucci case, because there's just so much content that you can do. Because it's like literally written in history.
And you could still get the same quality of actors.
100%.
And put it on like a premium streaming service and everyone would rave about it, right? And be like, oh my God, have you seen House of Gucci?
Because like, let's compare it to some other TV shows that do like look at the history of like brands. I'm trying to think.
Well, the big one that I haven't seen is... you know, American Crime Story, how they did the O.J. Simpson story?
True. Yeah.
The sequel, or the second season was on Versace, who was also assassinated, right? I haven't seen that season. I've seen the one on O.J. Simpson, but I've heard good things about it, right?
Yeah.
So that is one that they have done.
Exactly. That's the
proof. The thing I was thinking of, which I have seen, is... And this kind of comes back to the accents, is when I was thinking about, like, I almost would have preferred if they did the thing where, since they haven't gone for authenticity and made everyone speak Italian, right? I don't like the idea of getting a bunch of, like, big famous Americans and having them speak in Italian accents. I would have just rather,
like, Italian people to portray the
characters. If you're going to do big names and try to make it international... You do the thing where everyone just has a British accent instead. Like Chernobyl, the TV show Chernobyl, where it's Russian, but they knew that we're not going to film everything in Russian, right? It's going to be too difficult, right? It's not made by Russian people. It's going to be very difficult to do it in Russian. So why don't, instead of doing Russian accents that will be inconsistent and will be distracting, we just have everyone speak in their normal accents, which, since it was the BBC, was British, but it kind of works because it's European. And that works much better because you're not distracted by... Like, the entire time, I was just being constantly distracted by how shit the accents were, right?
Exactly. Whereas it should be more about, like, the actual hit. Like, again, Chernobyl was a fucked event as well. Well, not to the severity of, how, like, you know, the House of Gucci assassination, but, like, it still has a lot going for it that you don't need to have people being Italian to, like, you know, tick you 100%. Off about it. Exactly.
It's really distracting. But I just think like Chernobyl's also a good example of that kind of limited series where it's telling a historical event and going real deep into all of the details and it's really good. And but there are countless examples of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Like there are countless examples out there of just like similar TV shows that are just about like a business growing and like even like, you know, like Breaking Bad, Ozark, all these are just like about people building empires, you know.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a crime story, right? So there's all of those kind of different takes on those crime stories in those limited series that they could have followed for this, and it's just it's just it would have worked much better as a TV series on a streaming service, and I think that's the way it's going, and some of these big directors might need to, you know, start thinking about making a limited series instead.
Yeah, just like James Gunn.
I know, that's an interesting one. Like that, yeah. The lines between TV and film have been so blurred that it's not even like these directors are going to get a pay cut. Like it's the actors aren't going to get a pay cut. If anything, they're going to get more money because the series will perform better on these streaming services.
Exactly. They're able to film more because they don't have to worry about like this 2.5 hour thing because they realize that we can make like up to 16 hours of film.
Yeah.
You know? So, and I feel like for a director, they're like, that's awesome. I can actually portray people's characters like and have their character arc the way I want it instead of just a short little...
Rather than trying to juggle everything in even a movie that's a 3-hour long epic, still having to juggle so much.
Oh, yeah.
Or, it's a 6, 8, 10-hour miniseries, and it works.
Exactly.
Right? So, yeah, like, that. I think that's the thing with this movie, is it's just, like, the best part of it is the true story behind it. And then everything else is kind of just okay. Like, the thing I did want to mention real quick was the cinematography is good, and it's pretty to look at, but the color grading just looks really dull most of the time, but it's also really inconsistent, so it'll just change from being like one shot will be really greeny blue and then the next shot will be really orangey, and it's
That's
just
true, yeah.
it looks really jarring between like just the way the color grading is used in this movie makes it look ugly, even though the cinematography at times is beautiful. And for a movie that's supposed to be like glamorous and all of these things, it makes it harder to watch because it's like, why is a movie about Gucci so fucking ugly to look at? So
that's true.
I had issue with the color grading. The other thing I had an issue with was the choice of music throughout the movie was just both classical hits and pop songs that just didn't feel right. Like, they weren't Italian. And like, they just felt like out of nowhere and really jarring every time one of them came on, and it didn't feel like it fit the mood of the story.
I agree. Like, again, it just felt like Ridley was just all over the shop. You know what I mean? Like, it just felt like,
I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, like he just wasn't as, not prepared, but he just like wasn't the best person for this movie.
He wasn't. He just wasn't.
No. Yeah,
and for such a good story, that kind of annoys me, because it's like,
I know.
Since I don't really have any idea of this story, it would have been nice if like a really high quality version of the story was told, that I would be like, holy shit. Because the chances I'm probably going to forget about most of the details, apart from the fact that he gets assassinated.
Exactly, 100%. But I mean, that's all my comments on the movie. I'm just looking at another few like facts on this. Like, well, yeah, apparently the film took 20 years to get made, and that's pretty sad because it didn't turn out too well.
That is a horrendous thing to hear. Now, is that one of the cases where, so firstly, if it took 20 years to make, and the events are happening in like the early 90s, right? then it means that they wanted to make a movie straight after it happened, kind of like what they did with Steve Jobs, right? Like
exactly, yeah.
Right.
So, they tried to get the movie like made as soon as it happened. Around the time that Ridley Scott was making the Gladiator, his wife acquired the film rights to the book. So there was a book of it, and they're like, we need to get on this. And then...
So Ridley Scott specifically has wanted to make this movie?
Yeah. So he's actually been like...
My God.
But then they say that the attention to detail and regard they have for the story is evident in every aspect of the movie. And I'm like, well, I mean, like, again, I feel like they just didn't have enough time.
But we're also coming at it from the perspective of people who know nothing about the story, right?
That's true.
So maybe to someone who's like really into this, they'd be like, wow, look at all... But the thing is, you shouldn't be making this kind of movie for someone who knows everything about the story.
True.
You know? Because you want more people to know about the story. You're trying to bring awareness to the story, right? Give it to a new audience.
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. Like, it's just, again, like, Ridley Scott is just a man all over the place.
Like, I think Jared Leto and Ridley Scott need to, like, be, like, every project that Ridley Scott does needs to have Jared Leto going forward, because their careers are identical, where they do some really great work early on and trick everyone into thinking that they're always going to be good. And then they do a lot of mid stuff in between, and you're like, is this good or is this bad? I mean...
It's like, it has the name on it that, like, I should be thinking it's good, but this is bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like, honestly, any scene with Jared Leto in this movie is silly. It's silly. Which it's not the intention, I don't think, of Ridley Scott making this movie.
Yeah.
So then it must be bad.
Yeah.
Unless Ridley Scott was intentionally making only those scenes have this really weird, silly tone.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Anyway, any more fun facts?
I think that's it.
Otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking about Jared Leto.
Oh yeah, well, Lady Gaga specifically refused to see the real woman that killed her husband, so the real Patriazza Gianni. Which is, I guess, fair, and because, you know, Lady Gaga wanted to portray like it the way she wanted to.
I look, here's the thing I'll say about Lady Gaga is that, you know, A Star Is Born is whatever. It's A Star Is Born. Who gives a shit about it? It's a movie.
Apparently, a lot of people do.
But... Well, the movie's been made 5 times or whatever. So,
has it?
Yeah, it's one of these really old timey Hollywood movies that always gets remade every couple of years.
Yeah,
like it started off as being A Star Is Born as being like about movie stars, and then halfway through they were like, oh, we've done that too many times. Let's do music stars, and then this latest one was a music star. But anyway, she was fine in it, right? She was good.
She was great, yeah.
But I think like this movie is kind of starting to solidify her as being, okay, she actually is. She's not just some pop star, because like Lady Gaga's like career in music is like really like flashy, and it's really like in your face.
It was very out there before any of the other artists started to be weird, like just for the sake of it. Like Lady Gaga kind of cemented the idea of like, oh, I'm just fucking alty and whack. Yeah,
which is like
for the fun of it.
Which is like today, if you know, if there are any young kids watching, it's like your Doja Cats, for example.
Exactly.
Right? It's that kind of vibe.
She's cemented it now. It's
and I find, and you know, from her acting career, I didn't expect anything, and she's turning out to be quite good. So I'll say that.
I do want to, you know, see her in the future. I do want to see her in more movies. Honestly, if she applies the amount of effort and dedication to every role that she is like goes into, then fucking.
Well, she's definitely trying to put herself out there as like a prestige actress, right? Like working with talent, and it's like, you know, if she keeps that up and she's always in, you know, it's kind of like your, you know, I'm trying to think of like an equivalent. It's kind of like your Leo DiCaprios, right? Who typically always work with like really well-established directors, right? I think I think Lady Gaga wants to go down that trajectory of the prestige filmmaking where she's always working with the biggest directors,
You're right. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's all I got to really say about the film. Like, overall, I'd rate it like a 6 or a 6.5 out of 10. But
look,
yeah.
I'm mixed because I would give Jared Leto's scenes in this movie a 10 out of 10.
That's true.
I'd give that a 10 out of 10. But in the context, if I had just seen those scenes without any of the context of the rest of the movie, I'd be like, this. I have to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Right? This is going to be such a fun, wild ride.
Because that would have actually been good then if every character was kind of overdone. It was just
ridiculous, yeah, and it was over the top.
And ridiculous, because then...
would have been a style. That would have been a style.
It would have been a style, because then that would have added to this, like, assassination, because it did feel like out of nowhere in the movie's context, and it would have just been funny. It's like,
oh my God,
they're just crazy, and it's like,
you're so right. Rather than... I just had a brilliant idea. Rather than taking this so seriously, they could have done, like, a Death of Stalin. Where it's just absolutely absurd. Because, like, at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck that Gucci was assassinated. He's some rich cunt. Like, I don't care.
Yeah,
right?
like...
So,
and he was, towards the end of it, he was just, like, being a rich cunt. Like, he was like, I bought, a Lamborghini or whatever. It's like, cool.
So, maybe that was actually the way to go. I think... Mate, we should have made this fucking movie, right?
We should have.
Who gives a fuck about people who care about the actual cultural event and what it meant? Yeah. Let's just do a satire of it, like Death of Stalin.
Exactly.
Anyway,
I agree.
But yeah, so I would give, if the whole movie was Jared Leto's performance, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. If the whole movie wasn't Jared Leto's performance, it's about a 6 out of 10. The fact that the movies both, to me, makes it like a 4 or a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, thought so. But yeah, that's House of Gucci.
That's House of the Gooch.
Hopefully
Jared Leto presents House of the Gooch.
Yeah, hopefully we get, the Versailles or some shit. I'm trying to think of like houses and then other clothing brands to like,
Oh, yeah.
So, like, the Tomb of Tommy Hilfiger, or...
Oh. What I was thinking during this movie was that when the American designer came on board, right, I was thinking, like, the only American designer I know is Tom Ford. So I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Tom Ford. It was Tom Ford. Tom Ford, I don't know if he's directed many movies, but he has directed movies. So I was like, well, that would have been interesting if you had this...
He had him directing the fucking
Exactly, because have you seen Nocturnal Animals? That one with... it's got Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal and Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Ford movies.
He's Nocturnal Animals. That's a really good movie. That's like a thriller kind of vibe. It's really good. And it's really stylish. So that would have been interesting if you had someone... so close to the story, try to tell it. I think that would have been interesting as well.
Why the fuck did they, Ridley Scott was just trying to, like, make some money when he should have actually given it to Tom Ford, someone who's actually, like, in the story itself. That would have been so good.
If there's a story you want to tell, sometimes it's, sometimes you can take a back seat and be a producer.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
a lot of directors to produce other people's movies because they're like, Bradley Cooper, for example, produced Joker, right? Because he really liked what Todd Phillips was doing, and because they, of course, worked together on the Hangover movies, and Bradley Cooper worked on Joker with Todd Phillips as a producer, and he didn't have to direct it. I mean, that's just an example off the top of my head, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think. I don't have any other examples, but. Yeah, why didn't Ridley just produce... Like, he just doesn't know what he's doing, but he thinks he does because he has the Ridley Scott name.
Because to him, he's Ridley Scott. He can do anything.
I did Blade Runner, bitches.
Yeah, even though his, like, average critical reception is, like, a 5 out of 10. Like...
Like, in his head, his name is a 10 out of 10.
But it's funny because it's not... Yeah, Ridley Scott's a great name. But it's funny because Ridley Scott's not a movie. He's not a director that's like, oh my god, he's like, this is like garbage. It's like, it's just like, he's like a good.
It's okay.
He's good at directing. He's just not good at making a film. You know what I mean? Like the job of a director, he's like okay at, but then the end result, it's just like, you know, you've put all the ingredients to make a good cake, right? And then the cake is just kind of like, it's a cake.
It's, it's you put it in the oven for a bit too long. Some of them burnt.
Well, something went wrong along the way, but you were expecting it to be a much better cake than it was.
You know, you put in the ingredients at the wrong time, or you mismatched everything. You know, yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Man.
So I think that'll do us for this week. Yeah, House of the Gooch. Maybe if you're interested in the story of Gucci, and you only want to watch a movie and you don't want to like actually research it, then maybe wait for this movie to come out on streaming or something.
Yeah,
that's what I would say. But yeah, that's been us this week. We're a podcast now. If you're interested in following us or anything like that, you want to catch the podcast on any way you listen podcasts, or you could watch it on YouTube. The link is in the description. Yes, click the link.
Click the fucking link, bitches.
Yes. Next week, I'm thinking next week, unless there's something you particularly want to do, which, okay, I just want to say, right, Jackass is back.
I've watched that.
You have seen it? It's not going to be, it's not something we can talk about for an hour, but
we can watch all of them.
I haven't seen it yet. But again, it's just going to be, that was pretty dumb. Or that was funny.
True. So, dude, that stunt was
going to be, so if you've already seen it, so if I get a chance to see the fourth one, which I really want to do, then we might spend 10 minutes, just talking about it real quick. But I was thinking, let's talk about some streaming shows, namely the Book of Boba Fett, right?
Yes.
Because I have some fucking thoughts about this show.
Have you watched the 6th episode yet?
I have.
Yeah.
I've gotten, so the finale is this coming week. So we'll talk about it
is it 7, 8 episodes?
It's 7 episodes.
Okay.
And I have some thoughts on this show.
Wow.
And some good, some bad. But okay. We'll save that for next week. And so I reckon next week we might just touch on a few different things.
Yeah. We can also review some other TV shows as well if we get the ideas, because there are some good ones out there that I do want to review.
There's Apple TV, which I've just been on a free trial for like 2 years now because I just keep buying Apple products.
Yeah.
So they just keep like anyone in my family who buys an Apple product, it's like, oh, can we have the free trial for Apple TV? Yeah, sure. So it's like
nice.
So it's like I've nonstop been just getting free trials of that. There's a show on that called The After Party, and it's like a murder mystery that's a comedy, and it's like each episode is a completely different style. So it's like one will be an action comedy, the next will be a musical, right? And each one, because they're telling the story of what happened from a different character's perspective each time.
Wow.
It's really well done. It's by Chris Miller, who did, 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, Into the Spider-Verse, right? Lego Movie, right?
Okay, wow. So that's... Okay, I need to watch this then.
So that's a great TV show. We could catch up on Peacemaker, which will be in its second last episode. And there may be just other prestige streaming shows out that we can review. Oh, Pam and Tommy. And Tommy, which is about Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee's sex tape. I've watched the first 3 episodes. It's so good. It's so good.
Wow.
So we may just do a bit of tidbits next week and do a bit of everything. If we don't even have to watch everything collectively. Like as in...
No, we can just watch all of them.
Yeah.
And just touch on all... Because I was going to say, there's this show that's come out. You know the new League of Legends show that's come out on Netflix?
Is it like an anime kind of show?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't think I don't know much of it.
It's called Arcane.
Oh my god! Yeah, no, I haven't seen it. I've heard a lot about it.
and it is really good. For a League of Legends based TV show.
Are you a big League of Legends fan?
No, I play video games, but there's like in the video games kind of community, League of Legends isn't particularly liked because we just associate that game with losers because you have to put a tremendous amount of time in millions and millions of hours. But this show that they have put out, like you watch it on your TV, it is insane.
Right, so
like the quality
even
is
though
amazing.
I don't give a shit about League of Legends.
No, neither do I. I like do not know the story for shit, but this TV show is amazing, and you should watch it. Like it is that good.
There you go. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a big binge-a-thon next week.
Yeah,
can't wait.
Good. Can't wait.
Okay, well, we'll see you then. Thank you very much for listening or watching, and we'll see you then.
See you.
See you later.
See you.